I went through a whole conversation. I was on mute. Good morning, my family. Good morning. So yes, the graphics are awesome, and the music is Will Musser's music. You still can't hear me. How can you not hear me? Oh, now you can hear me. Awesome. Okay. Hello, everyone. Let me say hello to everybody who's here. Hello, Dolly. Hello, Chris Mendoza. Good morning, Marie. Good morning. Wendy, hello. Renee, good morning. Facebook user who settles in with ramen for breakfast, good morning. Marie has her coffee mug ready to go. Face worn. What is this? Who's this person? Forewarned is forearmed. Is Kalima. Yes. Hello, Heather. Good morning. And Scott, good morning. Welcome. It's been a while. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Paige. I'm unmuted. Thank you for the heads up. You've been putting up some awesome graphics, Paige. They look pretty amazing. Good morning, Linda. Let's see. Good morning, Jim. And hopefully everybody can hear me now. Let's see. Do we have everybody? Did I miss anyone? No. Okay, let me put up the allow name thing. Dolly's here. I'm not flying solo today. So my co-pilot is here next to me. Allow names. Let's see. There it is. Yeah, the machine's acting funky today. It's acting slow. Or it could be just StreamYard. Good morning, Mary Beth. Good morning. Let's see. Oh, yours was a JD. Oh, nice. Croissant. I had coffee. I had breakfast, but my breakfast is really, really early. Congratulations, Joe. Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. So let's see. How many people we have? Oh, wow. Big group already. It's great to hear that you made it. So if you see me sweating, I even have the AC on, but it's summer here now. It's like really summer. Let me put the phone on. This should go on mute. On mute. Okay. My image is slightly fuzzy. Yeah, I think there's something going on with the. Is it fuzzy on yours? Yeah. There's something going on with. I think it might be the servers. Or it might be lagging a bit. I don't know. How is the? Am I doing like an old kung fu movie? Is my voice to the image connected, or is it off? Maybe it's not that the image is fuzzy. It's just that the beard is so out of control that it's making everything else fuzzy. Good morning, Connie. How are you? Welcome. Okay, if it gets too bad, let me know, and I'll just kind of reboot or something if we need to. I thought we were okay, but you know, these things, technical difficulties, they do happen. Okay, as long as it's in sync, you can hear me fine. You don't really need to know what I look like. Fuzzy is okay. I think fuzzy is better because then it hides all the flaws. It's even better. Good morning, Audrey. Welcome. Yeah, it's Dolly tells me it looks better on YouTube. The beard, the shades. Maybe I should get them as like real sunglasses. Then I can have a whole look. Let's see. All right, so yeah, the image is gnarly. Yeah, I know. That's what I hear. But I think it's the StreamYard thing because apparently on YouTube it's good, right? It's still fuzzy. Yes, it's good. I don't know. Maybe see if there's settings here that I could make. Hope not. Let me see. Yeah, it's really for the audio. I mean, okay. Let's see if this. It is lagging just a bit though. It feels a little. I think it's StreamYard. Camera. Let's see. Because the camera's HD. So. Yeah, it's high. It's high definition. Okay. All right, guys. I checked the settings. It seems to be a StreamYard thing. Hopefully, it'll sort itself out. It's strange, because I know that the graphic image looked really good. So, all right. Let me start with the shout outs. If they deteriorate further, let me know. Okay. So first, hello to everyone on YouTube. You can see me. This is me waving through the fuzziness. Welcome. If you want to find us on YouTube, we're at Ben Peaches Publishing. I want to say a huge shout out to everyone that's on YouTube and anyone else around, all the YouTube watchers around the world. I'm going to remove this because that has been up for a little while. So, Yes, Connie's on YouTube. Chris is on YouTube as well. Yeah, it's definitely lagging on stream because look how long it took for that thing to get off. Jeez. Strange. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I've been growing it in. We're on Instagram at Ben Peaches, so at Ben Peaches. Find us there. I haven't posted on Instagram for a little while, but I've been in the word mines, so in the word mine, and so it's been a little while. But I'm getting into that. I don't even look at my calendar. I haven't updated the calendar yet, but soon, TM. Zazzle, my Zazzle deliveries are going to be pushed to the end of the month because my Zazzle designer keeps giving me the look. Hey, I know, okay? So we have this. This is a Zazzle thing. I don't know if you could get this on Zazzle. This is one of the first. Is it there? One of the first shirts we made for the art group. So you can get this if you participate in the shreds. This is the shirt you want to have. I have 2 more designs that are supposedly coming at the end of the month. This is what I keep hearing from my lead designer. She keeps saying, I know. So it's the logo. It's actually this logo, but on a hat. And then it's going to be an image of a silhouette of peaches, but on a hat. Just a silhouette, no words. So that's the next 2 things. And there's a bunch of swag on the M&S store, EMANDES at Zazzle. There's a bunch of swag there, so go to Zazzle and get your swag. I'm getting my swag, so at some point. There's grumbling in the background. That's all I have to say. We don't have any new patrons, but I want to give a huge shout out to all the patrons that we have that are currently supporting us and helping out. I'm going to make a little mention of this later on, but we have the next story for the patrons, only patrons, is the end of June. So it'll be just for the patrons. I'm sorry. So if you want to get that story, I don't know how many stories we're up to now. I think 10, 20, 15, 30. We're up to like 10 stories on Patreon right now. They're all short stories and really awesome. And so we'll add another one. I can only tell you that the title is called Peanut 2. And when you read Archmage, which is M&S 20, you'll see more Peanut. So I'm going to put the link up for the Zazzle store. Thank you, Facebook user Dolly. It's going to take a while because I think StreamYard didn't have breakfast this morning. So what do I mean? Who are you, Facebook user? Oh, yeah, your dive teacher, because she's in Romania. It's probably taking a long time to get over there. Yeah, right, you're in Romania, Marie, so it takes a while. Oh, Chris. So, all right, let me get through this, and then I'll definitely address that. So if you want to get the stories on Patreon, you have to be a patron. It's that simple. Here's the link. I'm going to put the link. So that's the Zazzle store link. I'm going to put the Patreon link right now. It's going to take a while because, like I said, it's taking a while. Acting a little funky today. The newsletter, currently the newsletter is in flux because I'm shifting from MailChimp to MailerLite, and there's a lot of other stuff that's going to be happening with the newsletter. So that's kind of, it's in a state of infrastructure rebuilding, and so that's going to take a little while. And I had a lot of stuff to learn and do homework and read and write books and edit and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be a little while. So the newsletter is kind of on pause. But I'll see if I can release something late this month, early next month, just to kind of keep people updated. And we can also test the newsletter. We should do that. Let's switch to MailerLite. So sooner rather than later, so we can actually test. Yeah, at the end of the month, so we can test everything at the end of the month. On BookBub, I'm at, well, you know my name. Find me at Orlando Sentences on BookBub. Just go there, sign up. Leave some social proof like, hey, I read the books, they're really good. No, I didn't like it, I threw it across the room, or my Kindle exploded, whatever the case may be. But just go on BookBub and find me and then leave some proof. Same thing for Binge Books. You can join, you add reviews. Binge Books is growing like a lot. So especially with the advent of AI, things are happening. So yeah. Binge Books has an app. So it's like they're trying to compete with, I guess, Kindle Unlimited, the Kindle app. You can read their books on your mobile device as well. Here is the BookBub link. If you haven't been to BookBub yet, give it a moment. It's slow today. And here is the binge book link. I'm saying it's slow because StreamYard is moving slow today. Okay. All right. So Chris asked, will we ever see any more spam and pistol? So it's interesting because the spam and pistol, I forget the full names, pistol something and spam somebody. Those are like really, really short stories that John and I wrote, John Logsdon and I. And we just kind of did that on a lark, on a whim. It's just kind of like, let's. So Spam is like this 1930s detective, and Pistol is from the future. And we kind of had them collide. And so they handle cases together, but one is bringing like the Humphrey Bogart sensibility, and the other one is a woman from the future who's also a police officer in the future. And so they solve cases that way. And it's just hilarious. And we were doing it kind of switching it off. So like I would write a little story, and then John would write a little story, and I would write a little story. And so we haven't really revisited it, but we should. I'll have a word with John, see if he wants to do a few more of those. They're really short and funny, like little vignettes. Is basically what they are. So we'll post these links up in the room after the MoB episode. And this is episode 96. So it's awesome. We're fast approaching episode 100. And I want to talk about that later. So remind me to talk about that later. Okay. All right. So let's go into the book and audio updates. So some of the book updates are Archmage. The art for Archmage will open up next week. I'm aiming for like the middle of next week, but I can't say for certain, but it's going to definitely be next week. So if you want to shred Archmage, and currently the book is sitting at 51K, and I think it's going to go to 70. So, but if you want to be a shredder for the Archmage, and you're not a shredder right now, if you're not in the art, let me know, send me a PM, and we have to be friends first through Facebook, and then I can put you in the art group. That's the only way you're going to be able to shred one of the books. So if you haven't shredded and you want to shred, please join the MoB. You should be in the MoB, obviously. And then we should be friends, and then I can put you in the private group, which is the art. But also, while Archmage gets shredded next week, the week after that, there's this little story that's been kind of hanging out in the shadows, the Day Strider story from Iker. So Archmage is going to be a long shred. Okay, it's probably going to be from next week to the end of the month, because the last shred, the last art, which was Nocturne Melody, was a really short, compressed, abbreviated shred, and I had to go back and fix a lot of things because the book was impacted by that. Also, I didn't give you guys enough time. I had a scheduling conflict and things like that. That means that Archmage is going to have a nice long shred. So it goes from sometime next week to the end of the month. And you'll have time to really like dig in, sharpen those claws, and really, really get in there and shred that book. I think it's going to need it because there's a lot to take apart in that book. So that being said, Day Strider, which is the second Iker story, it's a short story. It's not a novel. It's a short story. You're looking at maybe 12K. It's going to drop while Archmage is in shreds. It's in the second week of shreds. The art for Day Strider also comes out. So if you can't do Archmage, you'll have Day Strider, which is going to be a short shred because it's a short story. So, you'll have a choice between, I can't do a 70K or 75K story for Monty Strong, but I can definitely do a small 12K story for Iker. I'll do that shred. So you have choices of arts. Like Wendy is saying, be more like RL. Her prologues at 51K. Yeah. I'm going to have a few words with RL. That's a long prologue. That's a book for me, 51K. So, but she writes a lot, and I keep forgetting what number she's up to now. I know she's in the 30s at this point with Alistair Stone. So she's been writing a lot. Great stories, by the way. Okay. So Art Trace will be a long art. Day Strider will be a short art. Okay. Then the next book, I'm giving you the heads up so you kind of have an idea. The next book after Archmage, which is Entropy, will be at the end of September. The next audiobook will probably be at the end of October. The next audiobook is what? Dave? You here?
Yeah, I'm checking your audio.
Okay, so what was the last one? Stormblood? No. Divine? No, we didn't get to Broken that audiobook, the last audiobook. So the next audiobook, Revenant, should be end of October. Awesome. Also, sometime midsummer, we'll have Stray Dogs, which is the Sebastian Treadwell story. That's going to be a full novel. That'll be in the midsummer sometime. Probably I write it at the same time as I write Entropy. So you kind of have them both drop together, sort of like Nocturne Melody and Lost Runes. But they'll both have robust arts. And somewhere in there, the Stray Dogs will be there too. I mean, somewhere in there will be the Nightwalkers, which is the third and the closing book of that little trilogy of Iker. So it'll be there. Thank you, Wendy. It's 35. Awesome. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. And then, is that everything? Oh, yeah. Okay. So don't forget to leave your reviews. I don't ask you guys for reviews much because you guys are just so awesome leaving reviews. So, but if you haven't left a review and there's a book that's recently dropped out, and really not just my books, any indie author book, okay? If you're reading indie authors or authors in general, but especially indie authors, because I have a special place for indie authors, right? So if you're reading indie authors, please leave them a review, okay? It's really important. Those of you that aren't authors do not know the difficulty it is to get reviews in the beginning as you're starting your writing career. It's just hard because no one knows who you are. The reviews help other people find writers. So the reviews are for readers. Excuse me. So the new authors need as much support, which is why we promote authors. You know, they're not all new. Some are new, some aren't, but we promote the authors, the indie authors. And also the reviews are important because they help people who are looking. Let's say, let me try a new book. The authors help, those reviews help those authors. So it's really important to leave them reviews, okay? So please make it a point to leave reviews for your authors. It's really, really important, okay? So yes, Mary Beth, Stray Dogs is coming out this summer. Sounds like a movie. Stray Dogs this summer. Simon Treadwell and the Treadwell Supernatural Directive. Soon, Marie, TM. I never really answered the when. I think I did that once, and I learned the lesson because somebody asked me, when is this book coming out? And I said, it's coming out this date. And it didn't come out that date, and I caught a whole bunch of grief. So now, my answers to when or when is the next book is always soon. TM at the end. Trying to trademark soon. See if I can get some royalties on that. Yeah, reviews are a great way to help the authors, and it doesn't cost you anything. So if you've gone through the process of getting the book and reading the book, and you enjoy the book, please leave a review. If you don't enjoy the book, please speak directly to the author, because it actually helps the author more that you can leave a criticism with the author than to flame them on Amazon. Okay. Yeah, we don't do sooner. We do soonish and soonest. No sooner. Sorry, that's not one of the options. But soon is definitely an option. And it's going to be a busy summer in so many ways, especially with Z. But it's going to be a busy summer, and so there's going to be a lot of stuff. And then Entropy finishes the little arc within the bigger arc of the M&S series. Entropy is going to be the final one. And then it's going to go into Corpse Road, which is what I'm calling in my head the I See Dead People book for Simon. So it's going to be Corpse Road. And then after Corpse Road, it'll be Immortal. And that's the cover that you saw that opened the episode. That's Immortal. Yeah. So please leave your reviews. It's really, really important, guys. So I can't stress that enough. Leave reviews when you read the book, you enjoy the book. Sometimes, so as an author, it's hard. I think I went over this in the last episode. That it's hard for authors to leave reviews because Amazon's really kind of strict about that. But I will try to leave like 5 stars. I won't leave like comments because that's usually gets flagged. But I will leave 5 stars because that also helps the book get visibility. So it may not be a comment, but even the 5 stars helps the books get seen. So whatever you can do, please do. We're gonna try and do that, Wendy. So Wendy is saying take an awesome family vacation this summer to recharge and have fun. I was speaking with Dolly. Was it today? Yesterday? About Virginia? Yesterday. We usually go to Virginia we try to go for a week, right? So we'll see if we can do that this year. I don't think we'll be able to have a whole week because there's so much stuff going on with the tribe. But we'll try to fit in at least 4 days, 3 to 4 days. Just go there and I can bask by the pool. For me, it's just I go there to bask by the pool. So, but my mods are very, and the other admins are very adamant about me taking days off. So that's why I say I have the most amazing mob family. I do, because they look out for me and they say, listen, you've been doing this a little bit too consistently for too long. You need a break. And I know better than to argue with the mods. So when they say you need a break, occasionally I'll sneak in through the skylight or through the window or through a secret tunnel. But usually when they say you need a break, I take a break because it's important. So it's important for my brain too. Especially after writing a book like, let's say, Nocturne Melody. They know that, and I think I've expressed it here, Nocturne Melody is one of the few stories that's like, I need a break after I write one, you know? So I know another one, yes, Joe's saying, Joe and Dolly, they conspire to create the breaks. So I know another one is coming down the pike, as they say. So yes, but I sneak in every so often, usually to like drop something or hit you guys with a snippet and things like that. But I try, when it's a break, and I try to honor their position of authority within the mob. When they say, Orlando's taking a break, I'm taking a break, and I don't try to. They're mods for a reason, and there's 2 other admins for a reason. So I'm not going to undermine their authority, And then they're scary. So I really just go, okay, I'm on a break. And then I really do go on a break. Right? I do go on a break, don't I? I go on occasionally. Yeah, I try to honor the break. I try. So let's see, what else have we got? I wanted to ask you guys a question. What do you guys think about the snippets? I haven't been posting as many of them, but I was wondering if there's a different way to do them. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the snippets. What you guys think about the snippets. Is it not happening frequently enough? This is balance with snippets, because if I put too many snippets out, then you won't have anything to look forward to for the book. But if I put too infrequently, then it'll be like, I don't remember the last snippet. Was it any good, or things like that? So there's this weird balance in between too few snippets and too many snippets. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on the snippets and the frequency of the snippets. I do have a lot to release in terms of snippets, but I don't want to overdo it either, because it kind of takes away from the anticipation of the book. So I think the snippets are usually about a chapter. And just as a general rule, I usually don't go past chapter 4 on any book in snippets. And my books are long, so chapter 4 is not much. But I try not to go past chapter 4, because chapter 4 is, it's a lot, But there's a lot of people who don't like snippets at all, which is why I always leave that, if you look, I leave that buffer of space between the announcement of the snippet and then the actual snippet, because there are a lot of people who don't like, like Jim. There are a lot of people who don't like reading the snippet. They'll prefer to wait for the whole book. And I'm currently in the middle of the Steve McHugh the Riftborn series, and he did that. He put so I read the second book, and I pre-ordered the third book, which just dropped recently. So if you haven't gotten it, you should. It's called Talon's Revenge. Hold on a second. Let me look real quick. I can tell you. It's on my Kindle. Steve McHugh. Talon's Wrath. So it just dropped. It's new. I think it dropped last week. It's probably number one because all of these books go to number one. But what he did in book 2 was that he put the first 4 chapters, I think, of book 3. And I'm like, Jim, I didn't read the first 5. I was like, I'll wait because it was in like a few weeks. So I said, I'll wait and I'll just read the whole book, you know? So I know how it is, you know? Yeah, here's the link to Talon's Wrath. If you haven't read Steve McHugh, you're seriously missing out on an excellent author. Steve McHugh is the writer of the Helquin Chronicles and the Avalon stories and the Rebellion Chronicles. But if you know him from the Other Nate, I call him, he's the writer of the Other Nate. So read the Helquin Chronicles. Start there. You'll have a lot of fun. He writes so well. The Helquin stories, and I think he has a few short stories in the Helquin series. They're really, really good. So if you haven't read Steve McHugh, go here and then find the Helquin Chronicles and then start there. And then read all of them. There's a bunch. And then he has a bunch of books, and then read all his books. He's really good. And, okay, I'm hiding this. It'll take a little while because, like I said, StreamYard is slow today. Oh, and I clicked on Michelle's. Yes, Michelle, those are spoiler dots. That's a good name for them. I'm gonna steal that. Yeah, I really, really do enjoy Helquin. It's really well written. Linda says I only read one snippet. If that's just to get a feel for the book, that ups anticipation, and then I just enjoy the. Well, yeah, that's true. Right, the Helquin Chronicles, Avalon, and I think it's just the Rebellion. I'm not sure, but it's all all his books are great, and he's a great. I've actually spoken to Steve personally. He's a really, really great person in person. You know, like he's a really good guy. So get his stuff. Get his books. That's an early promo for Steve McHugh. About what? Oh, not just I can toss a snippet from earlier to see if anyone can guess its origin. And that's, you know what, I could do that, but most of the mob readers will figure that out really quick. I'll do that because if I can take it out of context and just put it in, but you know, I can do that. But they'll figure it out. The mob is really sharp when it comes to that. And like Paige is saying, she may ignore the snippets, but her editor brain wants to kick in, so she'll just wait for the actual shred. Because, and I've had to explain this to a few of the mob. We don't edit snippets because I release them raw. I release them without any kind of editing. So don't take the energy to edit the snippet. Just enjoy the content, and then once the art is out, you can take out those claws and shred to your heart's delight. Yes, the Rebellion was the last trilogy, and it was really good. It was really good. So yeah, so that's I agree with Jim on that. I don't read the chapters at the end of a book because I'd rather have the whole book. It's just gonna frustrate me when I read the last chapters, and then I want to read the rest of the book and it's not available. So I'll just wait. No, you guys, who's that? So the sharpest survive. Yes, Andrew, it's true. To such an extent, and I haven't done this in a while. I think since Requiem, that I've been thinking about how to do the red shirt competition because you guys are so sharp. I've got to figure out a way to do the red shirt competition. I was having the previous red shirt create the new, but that's unfair. So I'm going to create another red shirt competition for Entropy, which is the next book. And then, so you have enough time to kind of answer the question, and then you get to die in Entropy, which should be a lot of fun. And yes, as part of the condition, if you answer correctly, you die in the next book. Requiem was really, really good. I mean, how do I describe it? There are a few books in the Mounting Strong series that really, really stand out. They're all, for me, as a biased individual, they're all good, right? But if I think back, there are a few that kind of stand out. Like Blood is Thicker really stands out for me. Homecoming really stood out when he had to fight TK. That was when Monty had to fight TK was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say that's exact. It's entire books. It's just like scenes from books that really stand out for me. Yeah, but Requiem was good I'll tell you why I think Raccoon was so good. Walking the Razor was amazing, but Raccoon was good because it was more a Simon story, not so much told by Simon, but a Simon story, focusing on Simon and his past, and it kind of dug up a lot of the stuff from that. And we're not gonna get to see that again until Deadeye, when we discuss the shot he didn't take. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. So it's things like that. Oh, maybe before, maybe an Outcast. If you see me looking, it's because I'm looking at the schedule books. We'll see. But there are things happening. I cannot say a word because I was chastised this morning by the Warrior, by Ray. I was talking about Archmage. He says, hey, no spoilers. I was like, you're right, no spoilers. There are things happening in Archmage right now. I'll put it to you like this. Even I was like, ooh, Simon, really? And so, yeah. So there are things happening in Archmage that are like that. I initially thought about starting this book and making it 60K, and it's already at 51K, and it's going to shoot past 60K. Like by tomorrow, it's going to shoot past. This weekend is going to be like writing weekend, babe. Yeah. You know how it is. She already knows it. Like when I'm near a deadline, I just kind of shut down and then just get into the book, and that's all I'm doing. So yeah, but you guys are gonna love it. Some of the people have seen advanced stuff, and I'm just gonna go on the record now as saying, don't hate me. That's all I have to say. I'm not gonna say any more than that. But you guys are gonna love it. Okay, how many words? About 70K. I'm looking at, Jim. Around 70K. It looks like. It might be more. We'll see. But I'm at 51K now, and there's still a lot of things to resolve. So I'm thinking maybe 70K, but I don't think that's going to be the limit. I think it might be more, which means it's going to be one of my longer books because I usually stay around 50, 51, 53K. But this one, okay. I don't want to say it's a slower story, but it's the story in between Lost Runes and Entropy. And this is the, if this were a book, this would be the meaty middle of the book, right? Where everything's kind of happening. This is the middle book of that trilogy of an arc. And so there are a lot of things that need to be set up here. And then Entropy is going to be fairly long, but you're not going to have a moment to breathe in Entropy. I can tell you right now, from the moment it opens, it's just going to be like, what did I read that was like that? Oh yeah, Waybound, Will White's last book was like that. The whole book was like, I need to put it down because I need to take a moment. It's just so much stuff is happening. Oh, you're thinking word counts. Well, I'm telling you, it's 70,000 words, Jim. So 70K, 70,000. It might be more than that though. I'm thinking minimum 70,000, Jim. Greetings, Darren. I haven't seen you in a while. Wow, I hope Wisconsin is treating you well. That's not old, Jen. That's the way authors think. So I've had that question come up so many times. Like, how many pages are in your book? And I go, it's 54,000 words. Huh? No, but what is that in pages? I don't know. I don't think in pages. I think in words, in word counts, because that's how I write. I write in word counts. I don't write in I have X amount of pages. And I only know about the pages when I upload the book to Amazon, and I'll scroll down to the description, and it'll say this book has X amount of pages. That's when I know. But even when I'm writing, like, and I write in vellum, it just goes by chapters, and my chapters, as Dolly knows, vary wildly. Like some chapters will be 1,000 words, some chapters will be 2,000 words. The last chapter that I wrote is about 4,000 words a chapter. And I even had my other editor, Audrey. She makes these really cool suggestions, like, if you wanted to split this chapter into two, this would be the ideal spot for it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to split it into two because it has to flow that way. But yeah, I have some really, really long chapters and then some really short chapters. X programmer. Yeah, I didn't mean, no, not 50K file size. That would be, I've never measured the file size of the book, but they're really small in terms of computing power. But 50K in terms of word count, yeah. But welcome, Darren. It's awesome. Just a big bunch of stuff. That's awesome. And I hope you're liking Wisconsin. I've never been to Wisconsin, so I don't know what it's like, but I hope you like it. And I hope it's a good move for you. And welcome to the MoB today. To the Kaffeeklatsch, as we call it. You really can't limit a story as it unfolds. So I aim for my chapters. So there's a few different schools of thought on this, right? The James Patterson school of thought is chapters should be about 700 to 1,000 words because it creates that page turner thing, that feel of getting through a chapter quick, right? There are times when I do that. There are times, last chapter I wrote that was 1,000 words. That was a long time ago. But there are times that I'll stay about 1,000, 1,500. But then there are times when I'll go 2,000, 3,000 words in a chapter. And it's when I read it, I'm thinking this is going to be such a long chapter. But as I go back and read it, it doesn't feel long because there's a lot of action within the chapter. So you have to kind of write. It's your style. So you have to find your style of writing for that. And some people have really long chapters, but you don't feel it. And then some people have really short chapters that feel like, what happened? So it depends on the author. Welcome, Enid. No, you didn't miss much. It's you missed about half an hour. I want to say half an hour. Yeah, so you're okay. But like Wendy said, you can't limit the story as it's being written, as it unfolds. It's hard to do that. I think as a writer, if you're writing with the chapter can't be too long, I think you lose some of the story there. So you have to just let the story flow. And then if you want to edit chapters later on, you can, with the understanding that it might interrupt the flow of what's happening in the story if you have to go to another chapter. So you want to know. Jim, take care. I'm sorry you have to leave, but thank you so much for being here. And have a great weekend. Let's see. Been out of writing for a long time, Darren says, and have finally rediscovered my creativity. Awesome. I'm writing a work in progress in a new world, even as I'm listening. Awesome. I'm great to hear that you are writing again and that you've rediscovered your creativity. That's fantastic news. You tend to go about 90,000. Yeah, 90K is that's a big one. That's a chunky book. So Ina says, no power, no Wi-Fi storms. And wow. So I hope everything's okay, Ina. If you have no power, nothing, I hope you're hunkered in, bunkered up, and everything's fine. And stay out of those storms if you can. The chapter has to be complete. Yeah, like Chris says, he goes for 1,500. It always goes over, and very rarely, for me, I very rarely write. I've seen chapters that have been like 2 sentences long, and then I've seen chapters that feel like it never ends. So it varies wildly, right? I think the key is what Chris is saying. The chapter has to be complete. I have to feel the chapter is complete. And for the newer authors, you want. So here's the thing, and it's a complaint, but it's a good complaint. You want your readers to say, I stayed up all night reading your book and now I'm exhausted. And what a way to do that, aside from writing a really, really, really good story, which is something you should always aim for, you always want to end your chapters on a cliffhanger. Not the book, the chapter. Because when you end the chapter on a cliffhanger, the natural inclination for us, bye, who's that? Got to jump on a WebEx. Bye, Andrew, take care. Enjoy the weekend. You don't want to end the book in a cliffhanger, but you want to end the chapter in a cliffhanger because what we as humans, our natural tendency is, what happens next? Okay, I'll just read the next page because I want to find out what happens. And usually what ends up happening is that you read the next chapter. And if the next chapter ends on a cliffhanger, guess what? I got to read to see what happens. Then I got to read to see what happens. And eventually you find out that it's the sun is rising and you finish the book, or you're almost at the end of the book. So your chapters have to end on cliffhangers because that's what keeps people reading. If you complete your chapter to a degree where it feels like it's resolved, that's what people go, okay, I'm just gonna put the book down and I'll get back to it tomorrow or something. You don't want that. You want your readers to just read until words start blurring and you can't see and you're like, what happened and what day is it? That's how you want people to read. Okay, I tried to drive to 70K with my largest over 200K. Who's that? Heather, yeah, that's a lot. 200K is big. 200K is usually reserved, and this is not. a law or a fixed thing. But 200K and above is usually reserved for like epic fantasy, where you have tons and tons of world building and characters and sometimes lineages and generational stories that start with this person and their kids and their kids and their kids, you know? So it's like that. And so you can get to 200K real easy that way because it's just so much world building. And usually they have a large cast of characters and you have to deal with each character and their history and everything else that goes with them. And so, yeah. So that can see 200K for an epic fantasy easily. I hope Texas is okay because I know it did get hit hard. So hope everything's okay. Enid. Every time just one more chapter. Exactly. I just did that with Waybound. It's like just one more chapter, and I finished the book I think in a day. But it's I read blazingly fast. So, yes, every time you release a book, that night I'm up all night reading the book, and then have a reader hangover. We should start calling those reader hangovers. Who's that? Tommy. Yes, Tommy. What? Oh, yes. We should start calling them reader hangovers. Yeah, for sure. But it's like what Darren was saying is you write the first draft to be creative and have fun with the story. You need to, if you're an author and you're not having fun with the story, guess what? The reader is not going to have fun with the story either. You have to have fun with the story. If you're not, like Chris is saying, if you're not having fun, it's going to show. I forgot the famous quote, no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. That's a famous quote from a famous author. But basically what it means that if you don't have emotion, if you're not feeling the story as you write it, if you're not enjoying it, if you're not having fun, the reader's not gonna have fun either. It's gonna get picked up on. I don't. It's hard to explain the alchemy behind that, right? But as an author, you have to. There has to be. How do I explain this in a really simple way? If the scene calls for anger or like stress or pressure or despair, it's not that you have to go through those emotions, but you have to be able to convey the emotions to such a degree that the reader picks up on it, you know? And on a deeper level, you kind of have to feel it. Like, I'll give you an example without spoiling. In Archmage, there's a situation that Simon has to go through. And it's just rage. And so I had to get kind of in that place where what would be a catalyst for that rage and really convey that. Not like I went around and started raging at Dolly, you know, and screaming at my kids and like, ah! But you want to be able to tap into what does it feel like to feel that rage? And then convey that to the character and then hopefully that conveys to the reader as they read it, like they can associate with, yeah, I know exactly what that feels like. I would, if that were me, I would feel the same way. And this is why it's hard to write when you're really young, because you kind of have to have some life behind you and experiences to be able to tap into those kind of feelings. Now you can't write when you're young, you can, and there are plenty of young writers out there. But those writers grow and evolve and mature, and a lot of their best work happens as they get older. So it's as we grow and as we live, we can convey that in story. It's really important. But writing in itself, like a lot of entertainment, like movies, it's a suspension of disbelief. So you're inviting a reader into a world, into a story, to join characters that you've created. So this is all imagination, right? But you'd be surprised at how riveting and how visceral this adventure of the imagination can be. You'll have people tell you, I can't believe you did this to my character, or my character would never do something like that. Many times, like in the case of, I've had people tell me, Monty would never say something like that, or Simon would never do something like that. And I'm like, you guys know that this is all made up, right? So, but it gets to the feels, right? It hits in the feels. And even though it hits in the feels and it's imaginary, it feels real. And so as an author, You want people to complain to you and say, yeah, that character would never say that. And because that means that your readers are really invested in your story. And that's really, really important. And yeah, it's like Darren said, there's a contract between the reader and the author, right? And as the author, you have to live up to your end, which is create a story, a good one, an adventure, and take the reader on this story. So in every book that you write, there's one character extra, which is the reader that's joining the characters that you're creating. And you always have to write understanding that the reader is going to join your characters on this adventure. You have to make space in your story for the reader to jump in with them and have fun, or be scared, or get angry, or want revenge. You know, you have to make space for the reader to feel those things as well. And if you don't do that, the reader doesn't connect with your characters. And then it's like, why should I bother reading about this? Because I'm not really invested. And then your book gets put to the side. It's that simple. There's plenty of writing advice, right? But one of the really, really important pieces of advice that I learned early on is that you have to get your readers invested in your characters before they get invested in the story. And so you've got to create that space for the reader. You have to welcome your reader to come in and say, come on in, I'm going to show you around a little bit, and then we're going to jump right into what's happening. And look, this is this person, this is this person, this is what they do, and this is what that person was, and that's the bad person, that's the bad protagonist, bad antagonist, and they want to do this, and let's just jump in, you know? And if you look at Two Mirrors and Butterflies, there's no backstory in the beginning of the book. We're running through the city, we're running through Manhattan, chasing a werewolf. And so now you're like, okay, but who are these people? We'll get to that in a moment. Let's get to this right here. Come on, gotta get this werewolf, come on. And you're bringing the reader, you're immersing the reader into this situation. And they're like, yeah, I'll go with you. Let's go chase this werewolf. Yeah, I'm good, let's go. And then you start learning more about them. And that's how you want to kind of entice and hook your readers as an author. And if you look at any movie that you've really, really enjoyed, it does the same thing to you. Right from the beginning, it hooks you in, right? It's like that. Who's that who said I agree? It's easy to tell when a writer. Yes, Tommy, I agree. You can tell. I've read many books where it's, what did I say? It's like it's been dialed in. You can tell when it's dialed in, and you can tell when, whoa, this person went through something to be able to write this, you know? So it's really important. Good morning, Lori. Welcome. It's really important to be able to, I wouldn't necessarily say feel the exact same thing, although that helps, but to be able to tap into the feelings that you've experienced and then be able to convey that in a simple, direct way through the characters so that it resonates with your readers, and then they can relate to what your character's going through. And if they can relate to what your character's going through, that's when you start having readers who really appreciate what you're doing, because you want to make them relatable. It's really important. And it's like, it's true, like I was saying, every book you write, you've got to make space for that other character, which is the reader. Because the reader is going to be a character in your story. I mean, that's the way I read, right? When I read, I'm not reading a story disconnected from the story. I'm in there with the characters, experiencing what they're experiencing, going through what they're going through. It's like, what's next? Okay, wait, this thing, we got to fight this thing. Oh my God, you know, it's like, oh, we got to get away, we got to run. Oh my God. It's stuff like that, you know? So, and this is why romance is so big. Because in romance, if you're a woman reading the story, you're taking the part of the woman, or you're enjoying the fact that it's a happily ever after, or you're projecting what your ideal story in your mind is, and you're hoping that this story aligns with the story in your mind, right? And you hate the same person that character hates, and you think that guy's a slimy person, and he's sleazy, and he doesn't deserve to be with the romantic partner, things like that. That's what happens. So readers are the unspoken characters in your story. And if you're an author, you have to always keep that in mind. Yeah, it's important. What's Lori saying? There's a difference between something that feels out of character for a character, and then something that really is out of character. In the second, the words feel more forced. Yes. And there's something that can be done for shock value when you have characters act against what we call characters acting against type, right? Or a character behaving out of character, right? Doing something that they wouldn't normally do. You can do that. You want to do it sparingly. And when I say these things, remember, this is advice that applies for me, but doesn't mean that it applies across the board, okay? It's just what I've seen, right? When you have a character act out of character, it should be for a reason, not just because it's like convenient or, hey, I'm going to surprise everybody and have them do this. There has to usually be a reason for it. It could be like you're writing something and the character in your head says something and say, no, you would never say that. But wait, that works. It's perfect for this moment. Let's use that. That could happen, but that usually happens sparingly, you know? It's like I never have Monty cracking jokes. He could be humorous, but he's never snarky like Simon would be. And the moment that Monty would do something like that, it would come across as, why is Monty doing that? So there has to be a context around something like that, you know? Yeah. Right, choose your own adventure. Remember those and that's what lit, isn't that what lit RPG is right now? Lit RPG is kind of like the same thing in a way. Like you choose, I don't know if they're the same as choose your own adventures, but lit RPGs are basically the reader is the character in the book, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, let's get to questions because we have a few and I want to address them. So let me moving away from the screen for a second. I'm getting to the questions. Give me a moment because I have them queued up. All right, here we go. And that's a great the question artwork for this week's Kaffeeklatsch by Steve Ditko. Okay, for those of you who like comics, you know who that is. Okay, Audrey's question, and thank you as always. Thank you for all the questions you guys submit because they're fantastic and they help our show. They add a dimension to our show that's really, really important. Okay, first question from Audrey. Orlando, how do you come up with the names for characters? Wow. See, it depends. It depends on the character. It depends on. Sometimes the characters come with names. Like I'll think of a character and the name will just come to me. Sometimes I'll be reading something, and I'll hear a word. It sounds a certain way, and it's like, yeah, that sounds like a great name. Sometimes I'm reading a definition for something, and a word pops out in the definition, and that could be a name. That sounds like a. So you kind of have to have these filters open as a author, just to kind of hear words and play with them. Like Ect. X was, if in Noxamrody, Ect is a great character name, and then the original spelling for Ect, that is a real word, is ECKT, which means truth. And I said, that would be a great name for a character. But I didn't want to use ECKT, so I just did the phonetic version, which is EKT, which is Ect. And so that's one way that names come up. I want to say for Monty Strong, Simon Strong came fully formed with his name. It was Simon Strong because I liked the alliteration and it worked really well. And then I needed, I think I discussed this before, and then I needed something that sounded English. I already had Montague because Montague is such a great name. But I needed an English sounding first name. And the name, so I went through the alphabet, A, B, C, and I had a lot of names in my head. But Tristan really kind of popped out. So I kind of went back and looked for other names, but you'll know when you find the right name for a character because it stays. And so that's usually how I do it. Depending on the culture, if it's an Asian name, I'll look up Asian names for boys, Asian names for girls, and I'll read and see which one fits the character that I have in my mind. That's something I'll do that. But most of the times I'll come up with names on my own because I have an idea of what the character is supposed to be and kind of with the name that fits for that character. So it's a matter of having a whole bunch of information in your head from a misspent youth and a lot of comics and shows and Star Trek and Star Wars and fantasy and sci-fi and reading and all that stuff. And then being able to distill all of that into creating names. That's basically what it comes down to. Great question, Audrey. Dolly, this is a question for Dolly. What do you consider to be the most difficult part of the entire process, pen to paper through published? Pen to paper, she says. Would you like to elaborate, or that's your answer? I'm just saying. After I get that whole answer for character names, you're like pen to paper. I'm good. Yeah. To birth it, right? Got it. Okay. Hope you guys heard that answer, Jim. Awesome answer. Great question, Audrey. Thank you. Audrey has another question. With commencement season in high gear, what is one piece of advice that you offer the grads? Please. Find something you love to do and persevere, even when you're not good at it. Learn, study. If it's something you really, really want to do, don't give up. Don't quit. In the beginning, we're all horrible at something that we want to do. In the beginning, you suck. You're bad. You're gonna do a lot of bad stuff in terms of if it's something you really want to do. You're gonna create bad art. You're gonna create bad whatever it is you want to do in the beginning. Stick with it. Persevere. Be persistent. Learn what you need to learn. Study whatever it is you need to study. And if you stick with it long enough, you will become good at it. Because one of the things that distinguishes great artists or great people at what they do from everyone else is that they go the extra mile. They really push to learn the minute details, the minutia of what they're trying to accomplish. And that makes a lot of difference. All those little details make a huge difference. For example, I mean, to give you a sports analogy, right? When Michael Phelps was competing, I don't know what Olympics that was a long time ago, but Michael Phelps would win by like 1/100th of a second. It's not like he was blasting past the competition. Everyone in that pool was an elite swimmer, but he was a kind of swimmer that would do 2 workouts a day. And all these things added up. These little details added up so that he would win. He would touch that wall 1/10 of a second before the competition, or 1/100th of a second before the competition, and he would win. So you may not understand why you have to learn all the ins and outs of whatever it is you want to accomplish, but get as detailed as you can, get as much information as you can, because at some point on the journey of what you're doing, you're going to need that information. And that bit of information is what's going to allow you to come ahead of other people, or to add another dimension to what you're doing that's going to make you stand out. So if I were to give advice to grads, I would say don't be afraid to stand out, take the risk, and persist. Persist in what you're doing. Be persistent. Be perseverant. Don't give up. Don't quit. There you go. I think that's a pretty good commencement. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. If I'm ever invited to give commencement speeches, I'll use that. All right. Jim says, so what you did there with the art? Yes, the art has a lot of hidden stuff in there if you know where to look, for sure. But Jim's not here. But thank you, Jim, for pointing that out. Chris has another question. Do you ever get emotionally entangled with your characters? To the degree that I want to say yes, to the degree that I worry about doing certain things to them that can be perceived as cruel and unusual, and then I do it anyway. But yeah, I'll get emotionally entangled in that sense. Like, I wouldn't want them to go through certain things, and then as the author, I say, yeah, they have to go through certain things, and they got to go through this, and they got to suffer, and they got to doubt themselves, and they got to be able to stand up for themselves, and then they get smacked down for it, and all this stuff. But all of that is an emotional entanglement, to a certain degree. But yes, I get emotionally involved. I get emotionally entangled with them, and then I torture them, because that's what my job is as an author, and help them grow as characters, and then torture them some more, and then help them grow, and torture. And I do give them, wins. It's important that they should have wins, but it's also important that they should be tortured. That's the job of an author. If you don't torture your, and maybe torture is a strong word, but if you don't challenge and you don't add conflicts and you don't add difficulties and adversities and obstacles into your characters' lives, it makes for a very, very boring book because nothing's happening. So nothing of note is happening. And so it's important to throw in these obstacles. And when things get really, really hard, then something comes along that makes it even harder. And you have to do that as an author. And you can't be so precious with your characters that nothing could ever happen to them. Because again, then it gets really, really boring really, really fast. So you want to make life really hard for your characters, but with the understanding that they're going to grow. Because if you're just going to beat them up and torture them and they don't get past that, that also gets boring. So it's got to be a push and pull between both, you know? All right, so Jim is asking another question. He's not here, but let me see. Jeez. Oh, but it's kind of been answered. So let me address the question and then we'll talk a little bit more. Jim is saying, I'd like to better understand the business side of writing in modern times, such as what is involved with self-publishing and dealing with Amazon and such. Wow. We could do a whole episode, a few episodes on that. So I'll touch upon it, but I think it's a topic that we can move to. It needs its own forum, you know. But I know there are a lot of authors who probably want to know. So I'll touch on it. It's the last question, so we got like a good almost 10 minutes, and I'll stay on that. Self-publishing is hard because there was a huge stigma attached to it at the beginning when it first appeared as vanity press, right? And basically, it was if you weren't good enough to get published by a publishing house, you could pay a vanity press to publish your own work. Many authors, many well-known authors, did that way back in the beginning of modern publishing, right? That has changed drastically since the Kindle and since Amazon. Still, in the beginning of Kindle and Amazon, when the Kindle first appeared, self-publishing still had a stigma attached to it. It wasn't as accepted or as yes, it's still accepted. It wasn't as recognized as traditional publishing. If you weren't a traditionally published author, you weren't a real author, whatever that means, right? Because if you're writing, you're a writer, and if you can get your work published, you're an author, but you're still a writer, no matter what, whether it's traditionally published or it's self-published. Over time, and I want to say from in the last 10 years, that has changed drastically because a lot of what traditional publishers were, traditionally published authors were doing, is they were leaving the traditionally published world to become self-published, right? And that started lending a bit more credibility to the world of self-publishing. In addition to that, self-published authors weren't making 15% royalties on their books. Because of Amazon, they were making a 70% royalty on their books. And so that started changing the dynamics very differently. And people started recognizing, hey, this is actually a viable way of making a living through writing. If I can figure out how to do all the other stuff, I can put my books on Amazon, and I can make a fairly decent living this way. So that started lending it more credibility as well. And then you had like the rock star stories of, there were a few in the beginning of the Kindle who were making millions of dollars through self-publishing. There aren't that many now who do that. There were many. And that also lent more credibility to self-publishing. It's difficult still. And I would say it's just as difficult now because you have to, as a self-published author, you have to create a book that looks indistinguishable from a traditionally published author. Your book can't be full of typos, and you can't have the title misspelled, and the title can't look like you did it at home on Corel Draw or Adobe Photoshop. Everything has to look professional. If you have a professionally published book and you hold up a self-publishing book, you have to be on par or better So a reader can hold both books and not know which one is self-published and which one isn't. That's how good you have to be as a self-published author. Then a lot of the facets of self-publishing is basically you have to recruit the team that a traditionally published company has in-house. So you've got to find an editor, you've got to get a cover designer, you've got to get an advanced reader team, you've got to find your reviews, you've got to do your marketing, and that all comes with the package. Not so much now, but it used to come with being a traditionally published author. Even traditionally published authors now have to do their marketing, and they got to go out there and really promote their books. That used to be done by the traditional houses, not so much anymore, right? So there's a lot of crossover and bleed between the two now, between self-publishing and traditional publishing. So there's that. Then there's the aspect of you've got to develop your community. And so a traditionally published house would get the word out for you. You don't have anyone doing that for you. You've got to do that. And then, yes, it's part of marketing, but it's also part of being accessible as a author. And those of us who are older would have loved to be able to have the facility now that we have now to speak to authors. Back when I was like reading Lord of the Rings, I would have loved to be able to speak to Tolkien that wasn't writing him a letter, but I could see him online and have a conversation with him. That would have been amazing. Now, right, readers can do that. So in terms of that and self-publishing, you've got to be able to get, and most authors are introverts. So this is really hard for authors, but you've got to be able to put yourself out there and connect with your readers. You have to be able to do this. It's not easy. And to do what we're doing here is really, really hard for a lot of authors to just say, I'm going to sit here and talk to the mob. I'm going to sit here and talk to, my reader group. For a lot of authors, that's a non-starter. There's no way I can do this. There's no way I'm going to sit and talk to them. If they want to know about me, they can read my books. That would be the answer. That's an answer I've heard from a lot of authors because there's such introverts that this would freeze them. And so you have to work past that. As a self-published author, you can't hide behind your book. People want to know about you as an author. And that wasn't so much the case with traditional authors. It is very much the case with self-published authors. Readers want to know about you, and they want to be able to reach you or speak to you or share something with you because of the technology and because you're self-published. You can't put up this wall of, I am not accessible because I'm an author. You can't. You can't live in that ivory tower. You've got to be in the trenches with your readers. So it's like that. I mean, it's a really broad topic, but we could go on for a long, long time, and I could bring up authors in, but it's like, oof, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But let me get to the rest of what we have. Jeez, I think you're right. I think we're gonna go over. So okay, a few things I want to say. At the end of June, we have the next Patreon story, which is Peanut 2, right? We're going to do author promos. We still have author promos to do today. In 4 episodes, we're doing episode 100. So I want ideas and thoughts. I want it to be centered on the mob. So if we have to, I don't know, expand StreamYard in such a way that all of you can come on for a little while and say, hi, what's up? How's it going? And we can all be on at the same time, maybe something like that. So I want ideas for episode 100 because episode 100, it's huge. It's a big, big deal, So ideas from you on episode 100. And let's do our author promos because that's important. I mean, there's so much stuff, but yeah. Wow, that was a lot. Yeah, I think we might have to do an FB room where we could do episode 100 in FB room and then have everyone come in and talk and share and, hang out. Maybe we can do something like that. Because I don't know if StreamYard can handle. I'll send them an email. I don't know if they can handle having a large group of people. And not only that, everyone's on Facebook. So why not have everyone already where they are, Okay, A.D. Starling is a fantastic writer. She has released her latest book, Midnight Witch. It's coming on now. Witch Queen. So that's our Amazon link. Please go there. Okay, so let me start with, we support our indie authors. Okay, I'm not going to say it every 2 seconds, but understand it. This is why we do this. we support indie authors. We support authors in general. We really support our indie authors, right? So 80 Starling, Midnight Witch, all these links are going to be in the MoB after the show. Please pick up these books. These are, well, I would say pick up book 1, 2, and 3, and then pick up book 4, which just came out. So please pick up books. It's a new book. And 80 Starling is a great writer. She has really good covers for her books too. I think she uses the Rain Doctor design too. So great covers for the books. So get that one, please. Next is The Immortal Doc Holliday from M.M. Crumley. And she's really taken this character and ran with him, right? And so she has 13 books right now. This comes out the 19th, so soon, a few days from now. And she's really taken Doc Holliday and created a whole world around him. And it's an amazing series. And I think that book 14 is available for pre-order as well. So grab this one, grab the previous 12, and then when the 14th book, if the 14th book is available for pre-order, grab that one too, so you don't have to worry about when it drops. It's already waiting for you in the queue. Then we have Kimbra, our own Kimbra so these are, and what's really interesting is that these are all like MoB authors, which is so awesome. So Kimbra Swain has Walking Wind, and she just released this book. Go get it. We have some background noise here. So Kimbra's one of us. She's one of our MoB authors. So get her book. This is the link. It's a Reader Links. You guys are familiar with Reader Links, so just go get this book, okay? She writes. You know her from the Trailer Park series. Okay, let's see. We've got our own Ben Zackheim. So Ben is writing in a shared. Oh, did I just hide it by accident? Hold on. I did. Ben is writing in a shared universe, the Delta Underground Operatives. Let's see if I can put it. There it is. So this is Amelia and Ichabod, Delta duo. So it's Delta Underground Operatives. Nicole is in that group. Ben, there are a few others that are in there. So go get the Delta Underground Operatives. It's the large heading of a world with a whole bunch of amazing authors writing in a shared world. So go get the books. If it has Delta Underground Operatives, get it. And then you can get Ben's book as well. I think Nicole Grotepas has a book in there too. So go get these books. We support our indie authors. I'm going to create a shirt that says we support our indie authors. It's awesome. Put that on the list for the Zazzle store. We support our indie authors. The MoB supports indie authors. Yeah. Nicole Grotepas has Halo of Light, Sin and Guy. I think I want to say the name is Guy. It sounds like Guillermo. So for short, I don't know if that's what it means, but that's what it sounds like in my head. Delta Underground Operatives also, so she's part of duos. This is the Reader Links link. And we support them, so go get this book. Halo of Light. Sounds like a great character. Great title. Okay, our own authors are Rick Gualtieri and Rachel Carr. Both are MoB authors. Deviant Dark Dryads, a fantasy adventure, False Icons, book 4. So go get book 1, 2, and 3, and then get book 4 as well. Both of them are amazing authors. Rick is from the home of Bill, so he's really funny, a little raunchy, but that's the viewer. You guys, if you read John Logsdon, you guys you're immune to that kind of stuff anyway. And Rachel Carr writes excellent books. So it's kind of this mashup together. It looks like it should be a lot of fun. So go grab this book, please. We have John Logsdon has released Grave Crusade, I think. Yes? Grave Crusade. If StreamYard gets its act together. Yes. Grave Crusade, Gravedigger, book 5. So I don't know how many books he's going to do in this series, but there are already 5 books. So go get 1 through 4, and then go get this one too. I've read excerpts from these books. A lot of fun, really funny. Go grab them, please. Let's see who's next. Stephanie Fox. So she's half of the Foxy Steele or Alex Fox couple. So Stephanie Fox and Alex Steele are a couple that write. And so this is their book, Heart of Fire, Dragon Prince's Mate. Please go grab this. It's on Amazon. And it's a recent, if I'm not mistaken, it's recent. So go grab it, please. Let's see who else we have. Oh, Chris Chrisman, our very own Chris Chrisman, Technomancer Extraordinaire. has Wild Magic, and this is the second book in the series, and I know the third book is being worked on. So please grab this book, grab the first book, grab this book, and get ready to grab the third book. Everyone's looking forward to that third book. So awesome. And that's it for today. Wow, that was a lot. That's awesome. That's what we do, okay? We support our authors. We make sure that people know about them. A lot of times these authors kind of, it's not that they fall in between the cracks, but because there's so many books out there, you may not hear of them. So we make it a point, at least in the MoB, that to promote and let you know these people have written books and that you may want to like them. There's other authors out there like Brad Magnarella, Nasri Noor, Jonathan Yanez. There's so many authors that are out there that have written that you should pick up their books because they write so well. So please make it a point. If we had a list of all the authors, the show would be an author show. Like, these are the authors you should get, and then we'd just be going through authors and discussing. It'd be that long. So we try to fit in as many as we can near the end of the show, and so it stays with you. And then we'll put the list up in the MoB so you can click on it. And I already heard great things about people in the MoB said, hey, on someone's suggestion, I picked up this book and I read the whole series and it was great. Or I added these books to my TBR list and it was fantastic. So, you know, and Paige tells us there's going to be 7 books of The Grave, and that's awesome. 7 is good. And yes, increase your TBR piles, people. Come on, we can do this. Kim Harrison, yes, Kim Harrison released a Rachel Morgan Hollows book, which is, if you haven't read Kim Harrison, you really should. She has a great series, the Rachel Morgan series, fantastic. So if you haven't read it, go read it. And yeah, it's a new book out. Thank you, Wendy. It was really, really good. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, guys, look. Wow. If we keep this way, we're going to make it a 2-hour show at this point. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys are fantastic and amazing. And if you're an author, I don't want to say aspiring author. If you're an author that is on the journey of writing, don't hesitate to, one, reach out to the other authors in the MoB. Don't hesitate to send me a PM and ask me a question. If you want to ask me a question, ask. Don't feel. You can either ask me privately or you can ask in the room. Feel free to just post the question. Hey, and then post your question. We are also a resource for you if you feel like, so you don't feel like you're alone as an author or an artist. You know, you have a group of people here who care about you or who've gone through what you've gone through and may have the resources for you, which is really important. Because when I started out, I didn't have as many resources. I didn't have a room like ours to go to. So we created it, and that's what you do, right? All right, let's see. Thank you for visiting, Scott. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys are amazing. Anything to keep us going until Orlando. Who's that? Probably won't be able to see it. But thank you. That's awesome. Links will be posted in the MoB later today. Kim Harrison's amazing. If you haven't read her, you should, because she writes really well. If you have a book out and you're an author and you're in the MoB, or even if you're not in the MoB, please send Chris Chrisman Dos a link, and we can put it in our promo part, our promo section of the MoB Kaffeeklatsch. I want to wish everyone in the MoB who's a dad a happy Father's Day, because Sunday is Father's Day, if I'm not mistaken. But even though I think every day is Father's Day, every day is Mother's Day. It shouldn't just be celebrated one day a year. It should be celebrated every day of the year, right? Very welcome, Darren. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys are awesome. I raise my cup of Java Ambrosia to each one of you. I wish you all a fantastic weekend. If it's hot where you are, hopefully you can spend some time in the sun and enjoy the day. If it's not, and if there's storms, please stay home and stay safe. Have a happy Father's Day. This was an amazing show as always, because you guys make it amazing. Thank you for all the questions you guys have done. Is she closing?
Are you closing? No.
Oh.
You can do it from behind.
You can do it from behind the screen. You can be the voice of closing. And guys, above all, remember to always be uncommon. Have a great weekend. Bye.